Do you remember the case with the screen cracks of the M1 MacBook? Users reported the following: sitting on my desk, came home, opened it, and it was cracked. And it was not just one-man problem, scary stuff. Well, luckily, Apple replaced the MacBooks for free, but it doesn't make it less scary. Now, what problems are we facing with the brand new M1 Max and M1 Pro? I have been enjoying my M1 MacBook since November 2021. Actually, it was one of the best laptop experiences I've had. The incredible battery life, the amazing sound quality with a nice deep bass added to it, the beautiful screen with ProMotion, and of course high performance, which is essential for creators working with 3D graphics, video editing, photo editing. I can say so many good things about this MacBook Pro, but nothing is perfect. I faced some problems and I wish I knew all of them before clicking the checkout button. And this video is not to say that the new MacBook Pro is bad, but to warn you about some problems that might affect your buying decision. And as we know, forewarned is forearmed. More on that, we have rumors about the 2022 Mac Pro with brand new chips. Also, Intel, AMD and Nvidia have announced the new processors and graphics chips that will be built into some new laptops in 2022, and hopefully we will have our hands on them by the end of 2022. Therefore, is it a good idea to get the M1 Max or M1 Pro today, or stay with your current machine and wait for a better deal? My name is Arthur Weiner, and let's figure this out. Let's start off with some general problems, or better to say, moments to keep in mind. We all love the new ports on this Mac. It's the MagSafe 3, very fast charging, great, love it. 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, Jack 3.5, no complaints here, but you should keep in mind that the HDMI port is 2.0, which is weird for this MacBook because HDMI 2.1 supports 120Hz monitors and 2.0 just 60Hz monitors. And the SD card slot supports UHS 2 up to 300 megabytes per second. Yes, you can use SDXC cards, but we're limited with this speed, and we can already get a UHS 3 card with up to 600 megabytes per second. Or let's take me, I use the CF Express card, which just cannot fit into the slot, so I end up not using the slot at all. Same thing about Bluetooth 5.0, why not 5.2, and Wi-Fi 6, why not Wi-Fi 6E? So Wi-Fi is slower. Previous Macs supported up to 1300 megabits per second, and the new Macs support up to 1200 megabits per second. The difference is noticeable, about 30% I'd say. I was really impressed with the read and write speed of the new SSDs, up to 7000 megabytes per second, just mind-blowing. However, I've noticed SSD becoming very slow sometimes for a weird reason. So a 30 gigabyte folder that usually transfers in like 3 minutes could transfer in 12 minutes or in an hour. It's not that hard to immediately realize that it's a bug, and a restart fixed this issue. By the way, it happened not only to just one external hard drive. More than that, sometimes the MacBook decided to restart itself while I was using the external hard drive, and then this problem message appeared. It happened a few times, so not that big of a deal for me, but it was enough for me to get worried for other users. That's why I'm sharing this with you, and I'm curious if you are having the same issues. One of the most annoying problems, not only for me but for many people out there, is the memory leak issue. And yes, it affects the performance of the MacBooks, especially when added enough of a mass storage system, causing a bunch of lag and other issues. And whilst 2 to 3 gigabyte for YouTube and Safari may seem okay, 26 gigs for the control center, as you can see in this tweet, is unacceptable. A memory leak is a resource leak that is basically representative of mishandling app instructions that can cause a program to fail to let go of unneeded memory space. So one program can take up more memory resources than it should, therefore the app crashes or the system runs out of memory entirely. It's definitely a software issue, and it should be fixed completely in the upcoming versions of Monterey. I don't know about you, but I still get this issue sometimes. Talking about Monterey, buying this MacBook today, you're basically saying goodbye to the older versions of macOS, you're saying goodbye to the x86 virtual machine in general, so all versions of macOS, all versions of Windows or Linux. If you can live with that, it's fine, and I guess most people don't care about this stuff, but for others, it might be disappointing. Also with the Monterey, you're still getting some bugs like this quick look failure. When I attempt a quick look, the Mac will periodically switch to icon view despite that setting being off. Probably the most annoying thing for me is the weird glowing effect or blooming effect. The first time I noticed it, I thought there was something in my eye, then I thought the screen was broken, and then I realized I'm not the only one. The new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros come with new mini LED displays that can get insanely bright, at the same time having this deep true black. This becomes noticeable when you have a black background and some bright elements on top of it, and it seems like this element has the halo effect, although it doesn't. And it just gets so much worse when you're viewing it from the side, especially if you're looking down at the display. By the way, the actual viewing angles seem not as good as they were before. This is because this display has more layers, which make it so good, but the technology causes these side effects. And obviously you cannot fix it, you will get this effect on any new MacBook 14 or 16-inch. Anyway, I told you about how good this display is and how better it is compared to the previous one, so I think I can live with that. Now, I've already mentioned one, or actually two system crashes in this video, one with the external drive and the other one with the memory leak issue, but actually I had a lot more crashes. Unfortunately, I don't have a video with those crashes because I don't know the exact reason why it happened. I had something similar that Heads of Tech faced with. You're sitting, completing your basic tasks, then this weird purple background appears for a second, and the Apple logo. This happens from time to time, not often, but still annoying. Again, not saying that this is a bad laptop, most of the time it's stable, but it has some problems that you just need to keep in mind. The next thing is actually a big deal, and it might become the main reason not to go with the M1 today. It's the Apple Silicon support. So it's already been a year and a half since Apple announced the transition to Apple Silicon, and still, not so many apps and plugins support it. We already know that Premiere Pro is not fully optimized for the M1, the open source Blender program as well, which makes rendering much slower, also problems with plugins in different programs, not all of them will work on Metal, so before getting one of these MacBook Pros, make sure to check out if all the apps you need are fully supported, otherwise you might be disappointed. Next up, games. Guys, I understand that it's very entertaining to see how some YouTuber plays GTA 5 on the M1 Max, and these videos get many views, but don't get tricked that it's a good idea to use this MacBook for the tasks that you usually do on Windows. Half the games won't work. You will not enjoy playing games on this laptop unless these games are native to Metal. And we already know how many of them are. If you're a Windows user and you think that you're gonna enjoy playing your Windows games here, no, don't buy it for this reason. And as I said before, do not buy the 14 or 16-inch MacBook if you're not 100% sure that the apps you need have the native M1 support. Otherwise, just forget it. Another problem that luckily I haven't faced yet is the repair and upgrade problem. The new MacBook Pros got more complicated inside, meaning if you don't have Apple Care, then you will have almost zero chance in fixing any damage to the components. It's gonna be much harder to repair. And you don't have the option to upgrade your RAM, for example. Even upgrading the SSD, well, technically it's possible, but it doesn't make any sense, so you should pick your model very carefully for this reason. And in case you break some parts of the MacBook Pro, it will cost you about the price of the new one, in case you don't have Apple Care, of course. I don't want to focus on this too much, because to be honest, I've already got used to the notch, but its software side is sometimes annoying. Since the notch appeared for the first time on the iPhone X, take a look at how much money people have spent on meditation apps. And now Apple does it again. Just kidding, of course it's not that critical, but from the software side, sometimes the icons hide behind the notch and other times I just can't see some icons, which is pretty annoying. However, most of the time it's okay, and if you don't like the look of the notch, you can always download specific plugins that make the top bar completely black so you don't see the notch. Another problem that I haven't faced personally, but the everyday dad did, is the problem with external monitors. In his case, the monitor takes forever to wake up or detect his MacBook Pro 16. He used two monitors and the same issue on both. He said that sometimes you need to click your mouse, your keyboard, and even open and close the MacBook, only then the monitor will react. So very fun, I agree, I always like solving problems that I hadn't before. Again, it may seem a little dramatic in this video, and to make it more positive, let me show you some tests of the M1 Max and the M1 Pro. A 4K project in DaVinci Resolve, maxed out M1 Max 16 was the fastest, just 36 seconds. A project in After Effects, M1 Max was the fastest, just 1 minute and 17 seconds. If you want to see more tests, just check out my video in the description. But the point is, M1 Max and M1 Pro are very powerful chips and will handle a lot of heavy tasks. However, even if you're okay with the problems I've mentioned, it's still maybe not the right time to get these MacBooks, because there are some rumors about the 2022 Mac Pro with the new chips potentially called M1 Max Duo with 2 times the M1 Max performance and M1 Max Ultra 4 times the M1 Max performance, so up to 40 CPU cores, 128 GPU cores, and 256 gigs of RAM. And we also expect to see the Mac Pro Mini, which is also very exciting. I know, sounds unbelievable, and we have to keep in mind that it's just rumors. However, it might be a good idea to wait a little extra if you don't need a laptop specifically and you're okay working from your home or office. More than that, Intel, AMD, and Nvidia have announced the new processors and graphics chips that will be built into some new laptops in 2022. And it seems like some laptops will blow away the M1 Max completely in terms of performance. So, if you're okay with your current computer, it performs well with your tasks, I'd say don't buy it yet. Upgrade to M1 Max or M1 Pro only if you're 100% sure you need it, keeping in mind all the problems I've mentioned above. But if you've watched many positive YouTube videos about how great the MacBooks are, you're continuously ignoring all the possible negatives, and you feel like missing out, then stop yourself and wait. So, great things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. Go ahead and click on one of these videos if you want to learn more about tech, smash the like button if you liked the video, and see you in the next one.